Joining me today is a friend of mine, Mr. Jason Medows of Ag State of Mind. And I just have to say, I'm so excited to finally be sitting down with you for a great discussion. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm very appreciative to be here, and very appreciative to have a rainy day where I can sit and talk with a friend like this. It's much needed.
Yes. And if you could please, I know I texted you earlier. I was like, I know you have mud, but if you could just share some of that rain.
Believe me, I wish I could. I mean, we're getting too much right now. I'm looking right now, and there's just, there's runoff everywhere, and it's just, but what are you going to do? It's either feast or famine.
It is. It is. Now, are you guys calving right now?
Mm-hmm.
You are. Yep.
Yeah. We start. We're just in the start of it. I wait till April to calve because I was done fighting cold and mud. You just never know with March around here. It could very well be a snowstorm here too. So I'm holding back we're just now starting. So we've had, I think, just 11 calves so far. Okay.
You're just getting rolling. Well, I guess just to start, can you tell us a little about yourself, your family, where you're from, what you guys do, and we'll go from there.
Well, I think it's Brene Brown in one of her books. She says whenever somebody asks her the question, what do you do, or something similar, you sit down and you say, well, how much time do you have?
Yeah, right.
That's how I feel. But again, my name is Jason Medows. I was born and raised here in Crawford County, Missouri, which is about 80 miles southwest of St. Louis. My dad my dad's basically a first generation cattle rancher, owned the local livestock market. Him and my mom just now celebrated 65 years of marriage.
Wow.
I am the youngest of 5. And by the youngest of 5, I mean, my oldest brother is 25 years older than me.
Okay.
And my youngest brother is 13 years older than me. So I was basically an only child growing up. Yeah. It's it used to be like kind of hush hush, but now I'm kind of under the full impression that I was an accident. So
they finally came out with it, huh?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they ever told me in so many words, but I'm not an idiot. I figured it out pretty quick. So my folks were like much older than I am right now when they had me. So I was very, very spoiled growing up. So whenever I with high school, did all the things here in outside our hometown of Cuba. Then I went to pharmacy school in 2002 as when I graduated and left for pharmacy school in St. Louis. And right away, I realized I wanted to be back home real fast.
Yeah.
It was, if you've ever transitioned from small rural living to a large city, it's not easy. It's really difficult. So that was a big part of my life, and it helped me realize because I wasn't super involved in the cattle deal whenever I was growing up.
Sure.
I was more involved in sports. I showed calves at the fair, but it was never something that I ever thought I would be where I am at now with it. But I realized when I went to college, I missed this.
Right.
I made it through college. It was hard. I wanted to quit dozens of times, but I made it through. I graduated in 2008, moved back home, and that's where I met my wife. When we both went to work at the hospital where I work at now. Both of us she was in nursing school, just fresh out of nursing school. I was out of pharmacy school, and fast forward, it's been, we're just talking about, October will be 13 years. We have 4 kids, herd of cows, 2 different farms. It's a super busy life.
She's got the yoga business, right?
She's got the yoga business, which we started last year. And we've got so much going on. And right now we've got 4 kids playing on 4 different baseball teams. So it's intense right now.
You're running. a lot. Yeah.
Running a lot. Yeah.
See, your kids are older than mine, so you should be lying to me and telling me it gets easier as they get older. But I feel like now I've been warned.
Yeah, I feel bad for you. I really do, because like you think you're busy now, and I know you are. Like you're busy, you are. But I mean, when they get to like when my oldest is in high school and he's just all over the place, and thankfully he can drive now. But he'll be gone in a few years, and then it'll be back to us trucking him around to school every day. So it's people. And you know this, you have kids as well. I mean, it almost makes you like cringe and eye roll whenever people who don't have kids say they're busy. Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, I know you think you're busy, but I mean, how busy could you really be?
My sister's single and 25. And I'm like, it's a different busy,
Yeah, for sure.
I miss those busies, but not really, it's a life we chose. So
sure. No, absolutely. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not for the meek.
Right. Well, tell me about Egg State of Mind, because we really connected there.
Sure.
We were off air. We were talking, I was on your podcast 2 years ago, 100 episodes ago. So tell me, I guess, the evolution of that and how you got started with it.
Yeah. I mean, so we've already established that I've been involved in both healthcare and in agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
From the very beginning, I wanted to combine those worlds somehow. And how do you do that? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. And to even to go back to, when we were talking about transitioning from high school to college, that's when my own mental health journey started. I got really, really bad anxiety and depression when I went to college. And that was when it wasn't something like we talk about it now, right?
Right.
I mean, that was 20 years ago. Gosh, that dates me. I don't like that. I don't like it, but it did. That's absolutely what happened. And I had a really hard time, and I never really dealt with it probably until I got married, until Carrie and I got married, and she basically made me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a good, strong wife does for their husband. She wanted me to be my best, and it took a lot. It was a lot for me to get better, but I did get better. I went through a long process that I'm still a work in progress as we speak. But I got better, and I knew that the stresses that I had could not be unique to me. And then we had this one kind of like Genesis moment, and Carrie was at a conference in Dallas, and I was along with her. We had a late hay season. We had a lot of rain that year. We didn't get done like we thought we would. So it was late July, and I said, you know what? Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to go with her, and we'll just deal with it when we get back. Levi, my oldest, he was 14 at the time, was back home with my dad, who was 84 at the time. And they said, well, we're going to try and put up a little bit of hay while you're gone. Okay. Everybody's more than capable. Well, I was sitting in the hotel room in Dallas, and I get a call from Levi that the baler was on fire. And I mean, that's a phone call nobody wants to get, right? And he got that phone call. I got that phone call, and I mean, instantly I felt like going back to my old self. And but I was able to kind of walk him through. We lost everything, and not everything, but we lost the tractor and the baler because you just can't. The extinguisher wasn't sufficient for the fire, and it was a terrible experience. But out of that, after everything had settled, everything was fine. I realized actually how grateful I should be for the way things happened. It helped me realize, like, wow, I'd gotten a lot better. And if I can get better, there's surely a way I can help other people to get better. And it's an 8-hour ride from Dallas to my house. And Carrie and I talked about how we can make that happen. And that's kind of where the podcast was born. I had no idea about podcasting. I still don't know much more.
And this is a perfect stop for us to take a short break. Are you a parent or teacher listening to this podcast? Radke filling in for Trent Loos on today's Rural Route. We'll be back with Jason Medows after this short break. I hate doing that.
That's okay. No, I get it. Like would have a terrible time at it.
Oh, I know. And then he's like, be quiet for 10 seconds so I know where to cut it. So I'm going to like. And we're back. I'm Amanda Radke, filling in for Trent Loos on today's Rural Route Radio, sitting down with Jason Medows. And you had just talked to us about your tractor burning up with the baler and what an experience that was and how it prompted you to start something bigger to focus on mental health in agriculture. So tell us about what your work is and how you focus on marrying your experiences in healthcare and agriculture life to help people in our community.
Yeah, so I really wanted to make you said it really well. I wanted to make a contribution bigger than myself. Mm-hmm. And I had wanted to do that for a really long time, and I had no idea how to make that work. And that was before the whole medical side, before I figured all that out. But like I said, on that long drive home after that incident with the tractor fire, we figured it out. I had no idea about podcasts. I like to listen to a few of them, but I had no idea what it took to get one started. And some really good friends that I reached out to who had podcasts, still have podcasts. Clay Connery has the Working Cows podcast, and Tim Hamrich has the Future of Agriculture podcast. I reached out to them and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And they kind of gave me, Reader's Digest version of what to do. And then I just figured it out, made a lot of mistakes. And here I am almost 3 years later. And it's just been an absolute joy for me to do the things that I've done, because it's been funny enough. My goal was to help other people, but I think I ended up helping myself just as much in the process. Having the conversations are just so therapeutic and cathartic to me. I enjoy talking about the things we talk about, and making it normal for people like myself to talk about it. It was really hard for me to get started talking about this stuff. Who wants to talk about that? And do it in your free time, which you have very little of.
Right.
But after I got over myself a little bit, it's become really kind of like second nature to me. And we talk with people from all around the country and all throughout all sectors of agriculture. And it's even expanded a few times to outside of agriculture, talking to just other people who are in a similar space, but not necessarily with agriculture, and getting their unique perspectives. And it's just been a really enjoyable experience, because I've gotten to meet so many people like yourself. Like, we wouldn't have met if it wouldn't have been for the podcast. And I've formed a lot of really lifelong relationships with people, which I would have had no ability to do otherwise.
Well, and what stuck out to me when you first started writing is, and I know I've told you this before, but there aren't a lot of guys in this space. So it's a lot of women talking about their feelings all the time. So there's that stereotype that where do the guys go to talk about their struggles? And maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but don't you think guys kind of handle stress and anxiety a lot differently than women?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That was my issue, because I wasn't doing it in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. I self-medicated. I drank alcohol to make the pain numb, at least, or put the Band-Aid on it. And when I got married to Carrie, that wasn't going to fly anymore.
Right. Yeah. That doesn't work. Yep.
Yeah. So, that's why I ignored it as long as I did, because I had put a Band-Aid on it. But the sad part is, Amanda, that's typical. That's not only is it typical, but it's almost encouraged in this culture that we have, to suck it up, have a beer, to kind of drown the pain. And I've come a long ways from where I was with that, and I know a lot of people will have to as well. And it's really difficult.
Well, and I really hope people will listen to this and go check out your pages, because what I really appreciate about you too is you talk about the importance of strong men, and that, you know, as a society, you talk about the culture right now, everything is to like weaken the man and make it so they're not masculine. But yet you also talk about really sensitive topics like being emotionally aware. So can you kind of like not necessarily marry the two, but reconcile, you know, how you can be this tough, manly man, but also be in tune with your emotions and handle it in a way that's healthy and appropriate?
Well, okay. I relate what I think of in masculinity is being a leader to my family, and being a good husband to my wife, and being a good father to my children. That, I think that's a really good blueprint for everybody. To do that, you do kind of have to marry the two of being strong and being resilient, but also at the same time recognizing when things are very difficult. And I think God bless my parents. I love my parents more than anything. They've given me so much, and they did the best that they could, and the best that they thought they knew how. But we didn't deal with bad emotions or negative emotions very much, which I'm sure is probably very typical among families. I mean, I can't even pigeonhole that into rural America, just America in general. We don't like the negative emotions. And when I realized, like, trying to teach my kids and help them to not have the struggles that I had, I think that's maybe my biggest like why, and my biggest driving factor, and to keep doing the work that I'm doing, is being an example to my kids, and because I have 4 boys and I'm 4 future men, I want them to find the healthy way to, and I hate the word balance. That's just a yucky word to me because I don't think it's attainable.
I don't do balance either. It's okay.
Just
no, you can't.
But just trying to give things the appropriate attention at the appropriate time. That's not okay. I don't want to say it's okay to be emotional and be in your emotions all the time, because it's not, and it's not healthy for you. But recognize when the bad emotions are. I kind of think of it as a log that you're pushing under the water. You push that log only so far until your strength gives out and it comes blowing up to the surface, right? And the further you push it down, the more explosive it comes up to the surface. And that's that's been a really great metaphor in my mind for how to, get on top of these things. And it's not just talking like about your emotions. It's getting out ahead of things. I heard you talking on your last episode where people call you a quote unquote conspiracy theorist,
right?
But like, no, you get out ahead of things and you prepare for things, and that's a big part of what we've done. Like Carrie and I, that's how we get so much done, and how we're able to have a happy, healthy life is we get out ahead of things. We plan in advance, and we try to have a routine and stuff, which is, I know, a very dirty word for a lot of farm families.
Right. Well,
but we do it.
Would you say, I guess for me in agriculture, and I'm guilty of this myself, is we get that mindset of just that we're workhorses and that we have, it's just a constant cycle. If you're not working, you're worthless, basically. And I find myself where I'm slowing down to enjoy the things that, help my mental health, help me feel like a decent human being, or like I'm enjoying the people around me. And there's that feeling of guilt in the back of my mind, like I shouldn't be doing this because I have things to do. So we have 1 minute. I guess, what do you think about that? Or can you address that before the break?
And okay. I have a really I have a really easy kind of strategy where I talk about these things, and you have to start seeing, when you're talking about being a producer, you have to start seeing yourself as an asset. To, you have, just as you would put on a balance sheet, a tractor, a herd of cows, equipment, whatever it may be, those all have a value attached to them, right? The human element has to have a value put on it too. Of course, you can't really put a monetary value on it, but just to know that there is value in taking care of yourself. And that's the only way to take care of yourself, is to do the things that you would do to your other assets, maintenance, whatever that may be. And maintenance can look different for different people.
I love that so much. And for everybody listening today, if you haven't thought about yourself being an asset, you are the most valuable asset in your family, on your farm, and in your community. So don't ever forget that. I'm Amanda Radke. Hey friends, the saying goes that freedom doesn't come free. And without the brave men and women serving our country to protect our freedoms and liberties, everything that we love and hold dear in this country would be for naught. So to thank the troops, would you consider buying them a steak? Check out the All-American Beef Battalion. Since 2007, the Lake Bill